Hi, everyone. I would like to welcome you to our community forum through the Academy for Addiction and Mental Health Nutrition, which happens the second Saturday of every month. And we start with introductions and then we go into the topic. So I will be introducing our lovely speakers shortly, but we will just start with a few introductions. We did Jennifer.
I think it's being recorded, just so you know.
It should be being recorded.
Is it? Because
It
I
doesn't.
didn't.
Well, when
it
I
is,
came
it
in,
is.
it said being recorded, but
It
there's
is.
no
Sorry,
record
sorry.
button.
No,
Oh,
it's
yes,
being
there
recorded.
it is. There it is.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry.
That's okay. It's there. All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Demir, let's just do really quick two sentence introductions, where you are and what your interest is in this topic and perhaps what you do. Demir.
My name is Damir. I'm from Croatia, and I'm
Dobar dan,
in.
Damir. Dobar dan.
Dobar dan.
Uh,
How do you know Croatian?
my wife is Croatian, and I live on an island outside Split called Brač.
Oh,
Brač.
Yeah.
Okay. We will catch up. Yeah, we will connect somehow. Yeah.
Where are you living, Damir?
I'm living in Zagreb.
Oh, well, I'll be in Zagreb in a few months, and we'll have to go for a coffee and meet. Okay.
Okay, done. We will connect
Thank you.
somehow. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Nice to see you.
Wonderful. Joanne.
yes, I'm Joanne Boswell from San Diego, California. I love Split and the restaurant Fig, by the way. We really enjoyed ourselves there. I'm a retired nurse / pharmaceutical rep and very interested in amino acid therapy for myself and many of my friends and family. Thank you.
So glad you're here. Fawn. Unmute.
My name's Fawn Kretschmann. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. Relatively new at my practice. I've been a psychiatric nurse, though, for about 6 years.
Welcome. Glad you're here. And you're in South Dakota, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Angela Rose.
I'm Angela Rose Howard. Please note that Angela Rose is a one-word first name, no nicknames. I'm in Colorado. I have the blessing of Christina being my therapist and my nutritionist, so she has me on the amino acids and I find that they help. And since I was in a good place today, I thought I'd see what more I could learn.
So glad you're here. Welcome. Susan.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Susan from Nigeria. I am delighted to be here to learn more about neuroplasticity and how it can enhance brain. Thank you.
And Susan is a psychologist working at a hospital in Nigeria. Glad you're here. Lewis. You have to unmute. Okay. Julie Lively.
Hi, I'm Julia Lively. I'm from Massachusetts, and I'm a sobriety coach. I primarily work with women who are trying to change their relationship with alcohol, and know a little bit about the topic here. But I've been seeing your emails for a while, and I'm like, I've got to just hop on and learn a little bit more live. So I'm here for that.
Oh, I'm so glad. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
So with that, we're going to jump in. And JJ Kennedy, welcome. We've known each other for going on a year now. And Dr. Kennedy has a wonderful community of neuroplasticians from many different disciplines. And he and his colleague will be speaking to us today about neuroplasticity, but also about his hub of neuroplasticians, where we all get to learn from each other, teach each other, and support each other in getting this wonderful variety of information about how the brain can grow and heal and transform. So, welcome, Dr. Kennedy.
That's wonderful to be here, Christina. Thank you so much for having us, and a big welcome to everybody to be here. Please show your elbows and your teeth and your hands and say, hello, everybody. This is important to be happy. This is a fun Saturday. If you're here on purpose, great. If you're here by mistake, even better. So we're looking forward to a fun conversation. Jahan, we love your hat. I wish I had a hat to match, but we'll keep moving with the presentation. So, Christina, I got a couple of slides that I put together. Should I share a slide deck, or what are you thinking?
Yep. Well, yes, I'd like you to introduce yourself, just a little bit about your background, and Karla as well.
Okay. I built that into the slides, so I'll
perfect.
get that going in a minute, if that's okay. Are there
just
any
jump right
housekeeping
in.
questions or anything? Is there anything you need from us? Can we just
Nope, just jump in. We will do questions at the end.
Okay, well, we can throw in questions, everybody. This is meant to be a conversation, not a presentation from the pulpit. So please feel free to jump in and comment, and Karla and I will share more in a second. So let me go turn on my presentation. Let's see if that comes up. Okay, that comes up, but I can't see anybody anymore here. Okay,
you have
that's
to
good.
share your screen.
Okay, so I should be sharing now.
There we go.
I'm sharing a screen. Can you all see a black?
Yes.
Can you all see my black screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So today we were hoping to get some conversation going around how feeding your brain for change is able to make a big difference. And we're going to speak about the role of neuroplasticity and and nutrition. I can't get those words together right, sorry. And how that's related to addiction recovery and well-being. So Christina and Jennifer, thank you for hosting us, and I hope we're all going to have a fun conversation. I really want to start out with the elephant in the room, as most of you are here because of the illegal behavior of the Food and Drug Administration, and making it impossible for us to resist what's on the table when we go shopping. If you look at the way people are eating now, you can see that it's got way out of control. What the children are being fed, and what we are feeding each other, and what we are being offered when we go shopping, it is way out of control. And we really want to speak about the fact that we are interested in behavior change. Sure, understanding the brain and MRIing ourselves is important, but more importantly is knowing the link of the gut-brain axis, and knowing how it's a dual highway between what's going on in the body, in the brain, in the behavior, and how that influences the serotonin levels and other neurotransmitters in the gut-brain axis. But we'll get to that in a second. What I wanted to do first is introduce my colleague and good friend, Dr. Karla Garjaka, but we're going to speak about what her work is involved as an educational psychologist and a neuroscientist and neuroplastician specializing in nutrition. So Karla, I'd love for you to give us a quick hello from your side, and thank you for joining us today, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to meet each and every one of you. So that's my passion. I think as a psychologist, my specialization is in educational psychologist. So I do see a lot of kids who are struggling in schools, and we are seeing more and more kids struggling academically. But it does have a lot to do with what they're eating, what's in their plates. And so that's my passion. And whenever I see kids and parents, I really have to take a look at the whole thing, especially the gut-brain connection, which has a lot to do with nutrition. So that's my passion.
Did you like my slide with the M&Ms, Karla?
Oh yeah.
It was
I love the M&Ms, right? Because that's what
yeah,
kids love.
exactly. Exactly. So those of you who haven't met me before, I'm a Swiss professor of behavioral neuroscience, spending most of my time in Croatia, because we've got a holiday home there, and it's no point living where you don't want to, if you can. And we have spent the last couple of years building the NPN hub, which has become a massive community. Over 500 people now who run conversations and have meetings. And if you want to come and hear Karla's next presentation on the food mood connection and how diet is fueling anxiety, you'll be in for such a treat. Karla is such a excellent roundtable host, and we have roundtables almost every day in the NPN hub, and I will tell you more about that in a second. My role in the NPN Institute is to build people's awareness around how neuroplasticity is the most effective instrument to facilitate behavior change so that people build the right kind of habits. And as everybody in the room here knows, is that food is the highway to health. Christine, I just made that up. Hope you let me trademark it first. Okay. So the idea for today is really to get into a bit of information around what Karla and I have been discussing and what we think is so important about the role of neuroplasticity. So when it comes to addiction and recovery, we believe that addiction isn't related specifically to anything. It is related to a kind of behavior. You could be addicted to brushing your teeth. You could be addicted to pretty much anything. The brain can rewire itself through repeated experiences, and if those are positive experiences, we will see health-related well-being. And as we know, learning creates new pathways, which is neuroplasticity explained. And we want to share that our community has been based on looking at the best practices that support recovery. And if any of you know well-being markers from sleep to affect to exercise, we know that above everything else, social isolation is the best way to reduce well-being. So we've built this community because out of COVID, we realized we needed to have a place to connect and to grow together, and it's become a thing. And it all started out with a PhD candidate and me discussing their manuscript, and they said, JJ, you're always speaking about neuroplasticity. Why don't you just go off and start the Neuroplastician credential and the discipline and the institute? And I said, okay, I will if you join me. So as you can see behind, we got really Bollywood and we got excited and we built this community. The institute onboarded some really important people in the discipline of applied neuroscience. Some of you might know the names like Paul Zak or Michael Platt from Philadelphia University, or Marsha Reynolds from her coaching background. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There's many important people that have got involved in our space. So the neuroplastician credential is not a training program. It is an award for people who have previous education and have current expertise as it relates to the application of tools and techniques and instruments that facilitate well-being and neuroplasticity in general. So it's relevant to professionals and medical practitioners and coaches and consultants and neurofeedback specialists. It's non-denominational. So the idea is to understand that if we're going to look at the brain health, we need to understand that balanced nutrition restores neurotransmission. Balanced nutrition restores neurotransmission, specifically looking at the role of serotonin, which gives us that release of well-being, specifically in the gut-brain axis, as Christina, we discussed before. And I think the most important is the role of inflammation. And if we improve the levels of some excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters, we see that neural repair, and we see that directly related to emotional stability and mental clarity. And those of you who are exposed to amino acid therapy can make testament for that yourself. And what we have seen in relationship to neuroplasticity and improving amino acid, we've seen that it fuels that synthesis and even that synaptic repair where these neurons fire together and they wire together because there's basically more amino acids in the tank. And we see that communication builds neural efficacy. And if we see that happening, we see learning and memory and brain growth. And that all started in my area of interest in looking at what I can do to repair my own brain. Many moons ago, I was in a road accident, which led me to have a subdural hemorrhage, a bleeding on the brain, and that caused me to go into a coma. And on the journey to recover from a coma, it was a slow process, and the neurosurgeon and I were speaking one day. Sorry, I get a bit emotional when I come to bring this up. But anyway, the neurosurgeon was saying to me, how are you feeling? I said, well, I didn't see any lights and I didn't see, the pearly gates, why not? And he said, well, the wrong part of your brain was damaged. You're not going to see the pearly gates unless the left prefrontal cortex was damaged and you were on the right. So he said, you're going to have to get over your hippie belief system. And we had a laugh about it. And he said, actually, speaking about that, what do you eat? And I said, oh, no, I'm a vegetarian. And he said, well, you can be a vegetarian or you can leave my practice, you can leave my clinic. And I said, oh, well, in that case, I better go and order a burger. And he said, no burger, just a steak. We don't need that unnecessary white carbohydrate in your diet. And from that day on, I started eating quality meat, and I haven't stopped. And it's been a direct link to my well-being, and the function and the repair of my brain has been a lifelong journey, and it will continue to be that. And I will speak more about our journey. But the most important part of my healing has been being part of a community. And in the NPN Hub, we have many experts that are sharing their work and sharing about what they're doing. On Monday, we have the Authors Club. If any of you want to hear about new books that are being launched or books that are being written, come join us. Siv is having a workshop on tremoring. If anybody knows what that is, it's very interesting stuff. Leonard King is a neuroscientist from Finland who is part of developing an app that notices tonality and tempo of voice and how it reads affect. So we're having a live demonstration of that on Tuesday. And then probably the most popular event has been the event around the imposter syndrome and how that fuels anxiety. But anyway, there's lots of things. Dr. Ryan is speaking on the 12th. So there's all these events that you really should come and learn about. But the most important events are looking at what Dr. Karla is doing. And on next week, the work she's doing with gratitude and how that rewires the brain. And then she's going to be speaking about the microbes and the minds and the miracles, which is really cool to learn more about what Karla is speaking, and then followed by the food mood connection. So Karla, why don't you jump in and tell us what's going on your plate and tell us more about your practice and the amazing work that you're doing out there. I know your work as a professor at Chicago has been so important, but I'm really interested outside of your university work, what you're doing in your practice, and also the work around gratitude and food and mood. So why don't you tell us a bit about you, and we can go through all the events that you are hosting, my friend.
All right, thank you so much. So November here in the United States is Thanksgiving. So I do a lot of work around gratitude. I do some challenges, and that's what we're doing. And it's pretty interesting because there is a lot of research on your plasticity and gratitude and the way you think. And my latest research is on emotions. So I'm doing a very extensive research on EQ, emotional intelligence. And the breakthrough finding is the importance of emotional granularity, which is a hard word for the brain. But there is a lot of research on that in terms of the importance of becoming literate emotionally. And if you want to learn more, I can definitely share. But food and emotions, they're very related. Addiction and emotions, they're extremely related. When it comes to nutrition, yes, Dr. JJ, you want to say something?
No, I'm sorry. I was just listening. I was just
when it comes to
solving.
nutrition, my biggest concern right now is when it comes to kids and sugar addiction. So if we're really studying about amino acids and the importance of protein or importance of fats, right? The kids' diet has a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, a lot of dyes and chemicals that really disrupt the dopamine effect. And it really worries me because that leads to a tendency of our next generation to be more addictive than ever before, not only to social media, but to, there are two biggest items that I'm doing research topics, I would say, food, right? And emotional dysregulation, which again, they are kind of intertwined. Kids are really not able to self-regulate, and food plays a huge role on that, but also this dysfunction on emotional literacy. So it's kind of a very interesting and very complex research that I'm doing today. But and I do also have a nonprofit that my goal is to really revolutionize mental health, because if we really want to address addiction and mental health, we need to take a look at nutrition. And as a nutritionist psychologist, I am one out of, there is no nutritional psychologist in this country, right? And I had to go to Europe or Brazil to do some specialization on nutrition, specifically in the areas of mental health. There are some programs here in the United States that I also, with Dr. Amen, he's a very well-known psychiatrist in this field, but it's just becoming aware. So I'm very honored to be here and to talk to very like-minded people that really believe that food and addiction is very interrelated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly do. And Dr. Karla, I just want to welcome you here and to remind you and everybody listening that the Academy for Addiction and Mental Health Nutrition is precisely founded to train psychologists as well as psychotherapists and functional nutritionists in mental health nutrition and how to use specific nutrients that the brain requires to function, as well as food, to reverse mood disorders, to reverse addiction and other behavioral issues, and allow us to thrive as human beings. So I'm delighted to hear about your research.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
Karla,
think we need
one
to.
thing that you love to speak about, and maybe you want to, I mean, when you're finished, I'm sorry if we're over speaking each other, but understanding autism and how that is related to the gut-brain axis, Karla.
Oh yes, autism and that ADHD and the importance of intake of protein, quality protein or amino acids. I mean, there's so much research on that, and that's why I admire a lot, Christina, because when in my field, when I talk to educational psychologists specifically, because we're dealing a lot with autistic behavior issue, they still question. They think you have to choose. You're either a nutritionist or a psychologist. Actually, I had to leave my public. I couldn't see kids in school anymore. I had to really do my own private practice because the government and that, public system said, you have to choose what you want to be in the future. Right. And that's again the misunderstanding that as a psychologist, and we need your gut plays a huge role. Whatever you're eating played a huge role on autism. And when I see Kids 101, when I see parents, and we start changing the diet, it's transformational. With ADHD, it's like within weeks, we can see results, right? But again, there is this misbelief in the public system that I cannot work. I mean, people have to pay out of pocket because insurance does not cover what I do, right? It's just insane how much better our kids would thrive much more in the education system if we were accepted and acknowledged as it's so like there is an educational and nutritional psychologist, and we can combine those two fields to strengthen and to empower our kids and families. So Christina, what you do, it's amazing. But I mean, in my field, we need more education to see the importance of not only addiction, but behavioral issue as well.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly. So, I mean, these events that you are hosting, I mean, everybody, the gratitude event on the 17th, on the 13th, the role of microbes and minds and miracles is a very cool topic, Karla. But on the 2nd of December, the food mood connection. I think all of these, Karla, are wonderful events. And in the NPN Hub, we have almost an event every day to discuss really interesting topics, not only related to these, but anything that's related to neuroplasticity. And Christina, I was thinking now to share more about the role of the practitioner and the role of the neuroplastician discipline, but I'm happy to pause here if there's anything that you wanted to add or let people share any comments or anything else. What do you think?
Yes, let's pause for a moment, bring other people into the conversation. First of all, is there anything that either Dr. Kennedy or Dr. Garjaka has shared that kind of piques your interest and you want to learn more about or you have questions about?
This is Joanne Boswell. I have a girlfriend who has autistic twins, one with bad autism, they're 17 years old, and one with ADHD. Very interested in the food connection. Just, I know the importance of it, and any information I can get's the best.
I know, and it's a topic that is not very well known or discussed. So I highly recommend you to join us on our event. But, and if you want to chat, I can put my schedule, Calendly, we can schedule a one-on-one. But I think the more we educate parents about the importance, I mean, the more we study about autism and ADHD, the more we understand it's a gut issue, right? Then a brain, right? And most of the times we're focusing so much on behavior, behavior, there is a lot to do with it's like addiction, right? It's a lot to do with what you're eating and the dopamine effect and everything. So we need to educate. And that's one of my missions, is really to educate. The more we can educate, the more questions parents are going to ask when they go to the doctor, right? And it's transformational. So thank you so much, Joanne.
Well,
Please,
Jennifer, you had a
what's
question.
wonderful, and what's wonderful that I'd just like to add to what Dr. Garjaka said is that we can test for these things. You know, not only can we address the low-hanging fruit and help parents adjust what they are feeding their children, but we can also test to see what is out of range in the gut. And it's harder to test what's out of range in the brain. We see this more through symptomatology, but we can definitely test for what's going on in the immune system, nutrient levels, and the gut. You know, the different microbes, the different parasites, whether or not food is being digested adequately. And this is something that none of us should be frightened to do.
exactly.
Microbes and miracles, Christina. You must come and join that round table. It is fantastic. But Jennifer, I don't know if your hand's up on purpose, but either way, please unmute and tell us what you're thinking.
Yeah, hi, I have a question. So being that I'm doing the amino acid therapy right now, my diet is not the best. Do you find so if I do the right nutrition, am I able to come off the aminos, or are the aminos kind of like a lifelong thing in unison with the nutritional balance?
So, Jennifer, that's a really, really good question. I'm going to jump in first to answer that. And improving your nutrition is going to augment the power of the amino acids, because the amino acids also require cofactors in order to function. And the healthier our gut is, and the health of our gut is directly reflects the health of our food and our food intake. So it all works synergistically together. Now, some people need to be on aminos for a very long time. I needed to be on them for 10 years because of a whole variety of reasons, including a really screwed up gut. Most people do not need to be on amino acids long term. So, what I teach in our courses is that we begin with food and we end with food. But in the middle, okay, we may need some supplemental food. We may need some purified food to jumpstart the systems. And this is where the amino acids and the other targeted nutrients come in. Now, most of us probably need some extra multivitamin mineral support because it's hard to get enough in our food. It's hard to get enough of the omega-3 fatty acids in our food. So we may need to supplement some of those foundational things long term, but most people can get off amino acids after a while if, and only if, you're eating enough protein, you're getting enough of your cofactors from your food, and you're digesting it adequately. So eating the food isn't enough. We also have to be digesting it, absorbing it, and getting rid of the toxins. And that's actually what I teach about in my level 2 training.
Yeah, and I think this is so crucial because we have this famous saying, you are what you eat, and that's wrong. You are what you digest. Right?
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
it's really the first thing. So usually with kids, it's very observational. We do a journaling and say how many times you're pooping per day, how much water are you drinking. So very basic things. And we see kids who are autistic and ADHD, they don't poop every day. So that's already a red flag. If you're not pooping every day, you're not digesting, your body is not able to nurture, get the nutrients. And usually people say, okay, how many times do I have to poop a day? I mean, if your digestion is 100%, so that's a test that you guys can ask yourselves. When you wake up, you drink water, and about half an hour, 1 hour later, you have to poop. if you're digesting, if you're really detoxing throughout the night, right? If you're really sleeping well, you don't need a watch, Apple Watch, to see if you're sleeping well. You need to poop. Right. Apple Watches are terrible for kids to sleep with because it really disrupts. We can have another conversation about EMF radiation, but if you're pooping and if you wake up and you drink coffee, that's another problem, right? So there are some observational things that you don't even need to go to a lab or test, that you can really see whether you are nurturing, right? The food that you're eating is really nurturing your gut and your brain. Because if it's nurturing your gut, it's definitely nurturing your brain, because the connection, 80% of the communication it's coming from the gut. So yeah, some tips. So you're not what you eat, you what you digest. What Christina said is brilliant, and people forget about pooping. And the doctors actually don't ask if you poop. That's one of my first question when I see kids and parents. And I need to know, because it's very important how many times you're peeing and the color of your pee at night. It's another important observation as well.
In my advanced class, in our very first module, which is all about digestion, the homework assignment for my psychotherapists, the nutritionists already know how to do this, but my homework assignment for the psychotherapists is to ask all of your clients about their bowel movements this week. And it's so hard for so many therapists. But what I do is I say, look, we can ask our clients about their sex lives, so we can certainly ask them about their bowel movements.
We can ask them about their sex lives. We can also ask them about their shit lives. So,
right? I know.
There you go. But one of the other reasons it's so important, other than being a reflection of how well we're digesting, it's a reflection of how much toxicity we're living with and holding on to. Because if we're not having a daily regular bowel movement, those toxins keep circulating. Because the liver binds to toxins with cholesterol, actually, it's why we need enough cholesterol, and turns it into bile. So bile emulsifies fat, but bile also removes toxins from our body. So if we're not having a daily bowel movement, our toxins are reabsorbed back into the bloodstream and go round and round and round, making us sicker, making us more inflamed. And we know the relationship between inflammation and, toxicity, inflammation, and depression and anxiety.
Yeah, and one more thing, there is a very easy book here in the United States, which is called the Poop Handbook. And I don't know if I love studying about you're number 2. But anyways, there is this very easy book. It's a very small book where it talks about the shapes, colors. If your poop fluctuates or floats, I think that's how you say it. Floats, or it sinks. So it tells you a lot about your digestion just by looking. And having my kids, I have 3 kids. They usually, when they're not feeling well, say, take a look at your poop, and you can literally learn. There is a lesson just by observing your poop in the toilet. So it's a very easy, fun book. But
I love it. Yeah, we should be giving that along with my book. We should be giving that book to all of our clients. Okay, Damir, you have a question.
Not a question, just suggestion to put a link on Hub. What is the link for Hub? Yeah.
We're going to speak about that now.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and JJ, if you could also
presentation.
Wonderful. Yes. But if you could also put it in our chat, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I'll put it in a second. I'll put it now. But for those of you want to look, it's npnhub.com. But don't type it in now. I'll get to that. But I can carry on with the presentation because it's so important for us to have. It's so important for us to have many conversations about this topic, because we know that Freud spoke about people who are not processing the right kind of information. But we also know that there's many different roads to Rome. Understanding nutrition, understanding neurofeedback, understanding psychotherapy, understanding different protocols like EMDR or tremoring or hypnosis. There is a bunch of different ways in which you can facilitate neuroplasticity. And in our community, we really have been looking at what it is best to do to facilitate neuroplasticity, because we want to make sure that our clients are getting the most benefit, and I'm sure you do. And the idea of this community is really simple, is that people learn from people. And we want to build a community where you are welcome and you're understanding what the role is of being a neuroplastician. So the goal for this presentation now is to explain to you what it means to be a neuroplastician. In other words, a practitioner who understands and applies neuroplasticity through various different protocols and tools that they have developed, and also that they can learn from each other. So the goal for me presenting now is just to give you a bit more information on what it means to be a neuroplastician and how you can get involved and the benefits of being involved. So the goal of this presentation is now to give you a bit more information on what that is going to be about. So let me just click to share. I'm now clicking on this page. Can you all see the sharing of the right page? Am I sharing the
Not
right
yet.
page?
Not yet.
I don't think I'm doing a good job at sharing.
I
Let me
think you
try
have to
again.
push the share button
Yeah, I think so too.
again.
Let me try again.
You did it
Problem
before.
is I haven't got enough screens. I'm running out of screens.
If you want to email it to me, I can bring it. I can
No,
pull it up.
I've got it up here. I just need to pull
Share it.
back. Just
The
pull
little
back
button
this.
to the right.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm sharing screen 2. Can you all see that okay?
No.
No.
Why isn't it not sharing? How irritating.
There
How
it
is that
is.
now?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So the question that we like to ask each other and ourselves, why does it matter? And the reason it matters is because when it comes to neuroscience, there are too many opinions that are inappropriate. And what we are trying to do in this is clear up what it means to be a neuroplastician as a practitioner who effectively applies neuroplastician behavior, because we believe that this is not only a clinical protocol, but it's also a behavioral change facilitator, as a coach, as an educator, as a facilitator. And in fact, we wrote a very nice article in the Harvard Business Review and looking at the role of coaching to facilitate neuroplasticity and how that works in the brain. So if any of you want that copy, I'm happily share it with you. It's also online for you to find. But the benefits of the neuroplastician discipline are to basically get people talking and for them to have a credential that is not based on them doing some certificate, because there's many good stuff out there. And Christina's work is top shelf, as you all know very well, around addiction and recovery and the role of amino acids. And there are many other practitioners and providers in training. In our community, we really looked at the benefits of being a neuroplastician. And the benefits are specifically looking at how you can validate your expertise out of specific domains. And as Karla has been sharing, is that sometimes the psychologists don't know or don't want to speak about nutrition. And you know what, like, people get siloed, and that's just the human nature. And we're trying to build a environment where people can cross-pollinate, where people can learn from other practitioners in other organizational or educational or healthcare context, what they can do to build dialogue. And the thinking around the neuroplastician is that it gives the practitioner a competitive advantage, because what it does, it gives us a place where a credential highlights qualifications and opens doors for various other opportunities. We've built a community now where there is a very large directory where we have practitioners from all walks of life sharing this. And this is beneficial because it gives a lot of SEO power, which is Google search power, but it's also showing a lot of GEO power, which is basically what's happening on large language models. And what we have been doing is building a neuroplastician credential that gives professional benefit. Being on the directory is great. Of course it is. It's a great way to position yourself in the environment. But we want the neuroplastician credential to be an award, not a training. But those people who complete the training with the Academy for Addiction and Mental Health Nutrition will get the option to become a neuroplastician based exclusively on that training. So we're not trying to sell you training. We've got good partners like with the Academy to offer high quality training. And in our environment, by being a neuroplastician and doing quality education, we want to reward you, and we want to build a community where you are respected based on your expertise. And the best way to respect someone is financially. And we've put together the benefits of being a neuroplastician of well over $1,000, where we'll build social media campaigns around your work as a neuroplastician, which is working really well for people building their profiles. We've, in fact, built an incredibly popular podcast, which recently got an award from YouTube because we've had so many expert guests. And what we do, we share those shorts out, which tend to go viral, which is great fun to see how we can champion the role of the neuroplastician and behavior-based change, from nutrition to emotion to exercise to sleep to social connection. And by being a neuroplastician, you also get access to the NPN hub, which is where all the magic happens, where people get together and have conversations. We also offer paid training, so you can offer to get paid by some of our partners to actually do their training. And we also offer discounts for program and getting listed on the directory and getting the credential to be a neuroplastician. So the credential comes with a digital badge, and it comes with a signature, which you can use on LinkedIn or email or your website, showing that you can either be an associate, a professional, or a master neuroplastician, where an associate is someone who is still finding the way around the playground and still learning neuroplasticity-based tools, which is where we all started. The professional neuroplastician is someone who has built a toolbox, know what they're doing, know what works for them and their clients. And that's hopefully where most practitioners are based. The master neuroplastician is pretty much the same as that, in the sense that they are also in practice in some form or fashion, maybe as an educator, as they have their intellectual property in the public domain. Maybe it's a TED talk or a book, or maybe it's a training program, or maybe it is another form of intellectual property that they've made available in a book, who knows. So the idea for the credentialing process is to showcase your work and give you a reward for that. And the reward for today is to invite you to come to Karla's next event on the 17th and join us in the community. So please come and join us in the NPN Hub. That would be really amazing, because we really want you to find the point. Maybe someone has told you about the good work in Stanford, about the chimpanzees that were being assessed for the role of the impact of different kinds of hypnotic protocols to cause them to have an anesthetic response. So using anesthesia, these chimpanzees were anesthetized and they were put into comas. And what they noticed that this one chimpanzee, after he is returning from the coma, started to walk past the mirror randomly, and coming out of the anesthesia, he looked into the mirror and noticed there was a red dot on his head, which was marked there for the researchers to know that this chimp has been through the protocol. And the chimp noticed the dot, and this became the beginning of the research into conscious self-awareness outside the current understanding, where we're starting to notice now that conscious self-awareness is something that is a protocol that lives outside the prefrontal cortex. Specifically, it has an emotional charge when we start paying attention. So we want you to pay attention and making your practice flourish and becoming a neuroplastician. And by being here today and being part of the academy, we want to make sure that you not only get to be a neuroplastician and get all the benefits, but you actually get a financial reward, and you will earn over 1,000 by being involved if you're interested. But the sales pitch today is really to build a conversation and to build you into the community. So come to Karla's event, come to the community, and come learn about everything that we are doing together. So the goal is really to get you involved, and I really would love it if you were able to join us. Thank you so much for being here today. And the most important part of all these conversations is the discussion. So let's talk about what it means to apply the science. And we know that nutrition is a great behavior change protocol. And as a neuroplastician, we want to facilitate dialogue across specific disciplines, because it's easy to get stuck in our silo. And in the neuroplastician environment, we are opening the conversation and we're inviting people to come and share their own expertise. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear what your work is about. We want to showcase you on the podcast channel. We want you to host roundtables so we can dive into your brains and your guts and any other environment that you'd like us to get involved in. So let's have a quick conversation on what we can do to facilitate you getting involved. When you join the NPN Hub or you sign up to be a neuroplastician, know that if you put the Academy as a reference, you get the discount code, but you're also welcome to email me. I'll put my email in the chat so that you can also have more conversation around what we are doing and how to get involved and how we really want to get the conversation started. So Christina, Jennifer, thank you for having us here. Karla, my friend, thank you for sharing your expertise. And I'm really hoping we can have a brief conversation around how we can collaborate together and what it means to be a credentialed neuroplastician by an internationally respected community of professors and academics, but mainly pracademics who are looking at professional and practical solutions, because that's what we're all about in this community and this institute. So thank you for having us here. Are there any questions or ideas?
Thank you so much, guys, for having me here, and Dr. JJ and Christina for inviting me. It's always a pleasure, and I think this is a very important topic to talk about gut-brain connection and how our bodies are so intertwined, and this synergy that we take so much for granted when we are talking about addiction. And really, if you have kids, youngsters, teens, what they're eating today can really play a huge role on addiction later on, right? So it's really important we educate more. My goal is for psychiatrists, psychologists to really understand the importance of gut-brain connection, really knowing that 80% of the communication literally starts in the gut. the importance of our liver, which I literally consider our first brain. It's extremely smart organ in our body, and we take for granted. So thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation, and it would be my pleasure to have one-on-one conversations with you, each one of you.
Drop your Calendly link into the chat. Okay, brilliant.
Have like a free conversation.
All right. And thank you so much. And thank you for your presentation, JJ. I have certainly enjoyed my participation in the hub myself, as well as, the perk of having Dr. Kennedy and Dr. Garjaka here. Anybody have any final questions for any of them before we sign off for the day?
Bok.
I have certain ideas connected with Croatia because they are clueless about so many things, yeah, and they don't know absolutely about anything, and every form of that is so sequestered, yeah, and there is no connection at all, yeah. And they're in 17th century, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping actually to get my book translated and published in Croatia, which would be very exciting.
If you can send me a Word file.
It's coming. It's coming.
I wanted
all right.
to ask a question.
Yes, Susan.
My question is that you have been talking about neuroplasticity, but I was trying to, if there's a steps in neuroplasticity, and how can we rewire the brain of addiction patients? We have been talking about food. We have done that in academy, but what other factors or what other things can you do that can help you rewire the brain of these addiction patients apart from food? Because in our last
Susan, that's a great question. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, go on. Sorry for interrupting.
So first thing, Susan Amandla, I'm from South Africa. It's good to meet a fellow African in the room today. So it's good to see you. I was in Nigeria a couple of months ago, and the Nigerians are such beautiful people. The basic thing with neuroplasticity is habit formation, Susan. It's not much more complicated than that. You need to train the brain to change the mind, to heal the heart, so you know where to start. You need to basically get systems. So if the person isn't sleeping effectively, you need to look at sleep hygiene habits that will get them to set an alarm to go to bed so that they sleep properly. Not that they've eaten a pizza and a pint of beer before they go to sleep, because obviously they're going to be digesting and not sleeping. If a person is having emotional issues, is there relationships involved? What can they do to facilitate habits that don't cause that stress? In relationship to exercise, what is the difference between strength and conditioning and flexibility exercises, and how does that facilitate affective change? And I have a huge interest, Susan, in the role of affective neuroscience. So if anybody's bored enough to want to hear more about the role of affective neuroscience and the role of the work by Jaak Panskep, it's such interesting work. And we have a research fellowship in the hub where we have opportunities to publish research together and to look at PhD candidates' work and opportunities to look at new research coming out. So, Susan, I don't know if I rambled on too long, but in a one word, habit.
Okay, thank you.
But bring these topics to the table in the round table. These are the kind of things we want to share more about.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for being here. And I want to thank all of you who are listening in YouTube or our Facebook group for being here. And please reach out to me, to Dr. Kennedy, to Dr. Garjaka, because we are all interested in building community. This is why I wanted to share with you about this wonderful Neuroplastician hub that is being created, because communication, cross-pollination, and community, as you all know, is very near and dear to my heart. So I wish all of you a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.